Welcome to the BassandBigG.com Gunnersville Grassroots Podcast. Today is June the 13th of 2022. We took a little break, kind of by accident. The holiday threw a kink in it, and then Trey and I had life. Well, I had life getting away. Trey had fishing getting away during that holiday week, and we just said we were going to take a little holiday, and we're back. Trey's been fishing. Kid needs a haircut. Y'all send some donations. He's got some.
I'm not cutting my hair until I know that I ain't catching bass because of it. So until I get proven it ain't my hair, I ain't cutting it. I look like Napoleon Dynamite. I don't care.
You got some flow or whatever they want to call it going over right there. Little chia pet coming out from under that.
Call it what you want. Until I prove it ain't my hair, I'll be. Well, my mom's gonna kick me out of the house.
G ain't got no hair and he can catch fish.
Well. Hey, I don't know. I'm just saying, it's working. I done wore the same underwear for 4 tournaments.
I hope you washed it, and if you hadn't,
I did wash it. I will say that, but I ain't changing nothing until it quits.
So. Yeah, you've been on a little tear.
I have.
Yeah, we'll get into that. At least some getting check tears.
That's
anyway,
right.
In today's $5 a gallon gasoline, you need that.
You need that. Yep.
Just to make you get out of bed. So today we're going to have Captain John Maynor, which is Trey's buddy.
Yeah, if you call him that.
Yeah, they have fun with each other at Waterfront, I believe. But John's going to come on and talk with us here in a little while. It's getting to be summer. It's hot. What kind of water temps did you see Saturday, Trey?
It was like low 80s, like 82 to 83. But then after it kind of came, it wasn't a big cold front, but it did get cooler, and it dropped to we saw 76.
I saw 78. Yes. I got on the water about 2:30, 3 o'clock after you guys got off.
Yeah, so it was about 76 at daylight, and it got up, about 78, 80. But it kind of cooled down there for a couple of days when we got that good rain, little cold front come through. But it's back normal summertime again, so.
Oh, by the end of the week, you may be able to boil an egg in it.
I'm telling you.
I was in downtown Huntsville a little earlier today, and my truck's at 100 driving around down there. Now, that's a lot of concrete, some radiant heat, but it's hot.
Oh, yeah, it's too hot.
It is. It's too hot to have 5 fish in your live well. I had not heard about the mortality rate of ABT, but there's not a crew that does a better job with fish care than that bunch.
Yep.
So, hadn't been here in a month, so we could just pick tournaments to talk about. Yep. I still don't have Foodland results. I'm not sure what the deal is there. I asked them for them. They told me they'd send them to me. They've not done it. They've not posted it on Facebook. I know 18 pounds won, and I know that Cole Edwards and Owen McGlasson got second with 17 something, and that's about all I got. Oh, and I sucked. I know that.
You sucked.
I sucked. You said before we started recording that you burned like 60% of your gas Saturday to find some place to sit. I left Spring Creek and did not find a place to sit down until I was Goose Pond.
I think we on Saturday at Blastoff for the ABT, we put in at Goose Pond. We went all the way down the lake to Browns and stuff where I like to fish. We burnt 60% fuel before we ever found a place to drop the troll motor, and I think it was like 8:30 before we ever dropped. And we got to Browns Creek at 5:30.
You should have got you some of that $5.75 a gallon gas at the All Reds Marina or something.
We thought about it, and I told him, I'm like, well, if we put gas in it, we're going to have to win it to make our money back, so let's just risk it.
You still got to put gas back in there at some point.
Yeah, but I told him we'll worry about that come Tuesday at the Tuesday Nighter, so we'll just figure that out when we get there.
We had one group of fish that we knew we could catch that at the Foodland tournament that I watched a boat 100 yards of me in front of me sit down on. That shouldn't have been in front of me. It was kind of a cluster on the boat check in there, and we were boat 140 something, and we got out about 180. And that was frustrating. And then we went playing in the grass, and the fish we'd caught there before got small. Mm-hmm. And we had 1 4-pounder. We had about 9 pounds, and we chunked them back to the house.
Yep.
Yep. But I have never in my life seen the pros showed up, whacked on them, and totally exposed everything.
And that week before that is when all them crazy weights was
going
they
were
on,
good.
And everybody was like out here fishing.
Yeah.
And I don't blame them.
I don't blame them either. No, not at all. I mean, just, as I said before we fished that thing, love ledge fishing, hate ledge tournaments.
Oh, I've always wanted one, and after Saturday, I was like, I don't ever want another one.
I'm not going to do it again. Mm-hmm. And I fished the grass Saturday afternoon. Y'all had, I know that deep stuff, but they pull water pretty good there for a bit. Mm-hmm. And I went looking, and they still really just weren't right.
It was weird. They got so much pressure. That place that we had 27 in that evening tournament, and then we weighed in 1680 with 3. The next Sunday off of it, there was 9 boats when we got there. 9 boats.
Now, is this pretty easy? Well, one of the pros had been fishing it too.
Yeah,
hadn't they?
Spencer Sheffield had caught some there, and I mean it's not really a secret. I didn't think it was that big of a community hole,
Somebody guided on it, probably.
but yes,
so.
I mean
It's John Maynor's fault. We'll tell him
Yeah.
that here in a minute.
John Maynard. John Maynard. That's all I got to say.
Hey, John's the quietest guide. He doesn't advertise that much, but he stays busy.
He
that
does
tells you
stay busy.
something.
Yep,
So,
he can catch fish. I'll give it to him.
yeah, he can. Rather than skipping way back, let's just talk about the ABT. I think I saw 209 boats.
Mm-hmm.
I meant to print out all the results, and instead I just hit the top 10. You ended up where?
19th.
With 19 and a half pounds.
Yep. No, I think we was a little over 19 and a half, and we come in 19th place. But, looking at the thing right here, 10th place was 2011. And I think we had 1962.
52, 62, something like that. Yeah.
So that just shows you how close it was. I mean, how tight the weights were and everything. So, I mean, I thought it was going to be tougher than what it was. I mean, they caught them. I did say I said 24, 25 would win, but I also said that 19 and 3/4 would be top 10. And I was wrong on that. I wasn't far off, but I think.
It was 17 and a half to get 40th place.
Yeah, I looked at I was looking on down, and like 16 and a half pounds didn't even get a check. It was like 60th place.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that ain't like all the top weights at, 20, low 20s to high 20s. But at the same time, like to put out that amount of weight, and, like I said, we burnt so much fuel trying to find a place to start. And then on top of that, it's a Saturday at Guntersville. People were out fishing. We watched locals sitting on one of my best schools in Town Creek, just wrecking them, and couldn't get them. I'm not going to pull up on the guy, he's out there having fun, so be it. But, to be that much local pressure on a Saturday and then them guys catch them like that, it's like this lake still got them in it.
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it does. Now, it's about to be that time of year that they start to get a little funky from the pressure and the heat.
Yep.
Which now Lonnie Cochran says, talking to him the other day, the hotter it gets, the better he likes it.
Yep. I do like it too, just because a lot of people stay home.
It cuts the pressure.
It cuts the pressure out a little bit when it gets so hot. But I talked to Lance Whitaker and Jeremy Briscoe. I talked to a couple guys at the weigh-in, and they even told me they had. I think they said, I might be mistaken, but I'm almost positive. They said they had like 17 and a half, 18 pounds by like 7:30 out of the grass. So there was a lot of guys that caught them out of the grass.
The people that want it caught them in the grass.
That's what Daniel. I was on the way up here, and he called me, and he said he read the article, and they caught them out of the grass. Like there was a lot. I mean, there was fish caught everywhere. People caught them on brim beds. I heard
still
say
really,
that.
really.
Yeah, that's what I heard. Now they might, how fishermen are. They lie, so I don't know. But
yeah.
But I've heard people say they caught them on brim beds and out deep in the grass. I mean, I heard somebody say that he was in the top 10, caught him skipping docks.
That wouldn't surprise me, but because you got free reign there. I mean,
nobody does it.
No,
you can do it all
and
day.
We've got docks with 15, 20 foot of water on them
Yep.
in places too.
Yep.
I mean, I don't do it. I've talked about doing it, and I grew up fishing ledges and grass on Guntersville, and I'm like, I'm not getting that close to the bank.
That's right. We had made up our mind after practice. It kind of scared me, but I had made up my mind that we were going to stay out deep. And but come Wednesday, it started raining, like it flooded. And I told Daniel, I'm like, dude, if they pull that much current and the river gets muddy, like
they'll move.
They'll move. Like they could, if it gets too much current, that's what some people don't get. Like they think, they're pulling that much current, they're going to bite. No, it'll wash them away. They'll go somewhere that they'll get out of the way. And I was kind of worried about it, but after Thursday, they were still gobbled up out there. And I'm like, no, we're not even. I'm not even bringing a grass rod. Nothing. We're staying out deep. So
they ever died. Did you lose any that would have helped?
I lost one fish. I caught a limit on a swim, or I caught 3 on a swim bait back to back to back, and then I didn't get a bite. And I picked up his DT20 rod, and I caught. I rode it to the bottom, and it just kind of stopped. And it was one of them where you almost think you hung, but you just kind of keep reeling. I felt her head shaking, and she come up and jumped like 30, 40 yards out there. It was like a 5-pounder, and it come off. And then my next cast, I caught that. I thought it was a 4.5. He said 5. I said 4.5. It ended up weighing almost 6. But caught it the next cast. And
wow.
But that's the only fish I lost. I lost one 5-pounder, and we weighed in a 268. So we would have had 20. I mean, we wouldn't have won. We'd have been in the top 4 or 3, something like that. I think we'd have had around 22 pounds if I would have caught that one. But crankbait fishing, that's just how it goes.
Oh,
you just lose them. To only lose one fish throwing a crankbait and fishing out deep all day, I felt like we fished.
You catch most of them on a plug?
I caught most of them on a swim bait.
Yeah,
but I caught the biggest one I had on a plug, and then I hadn't caught them on a worm all year, and I did catch one fish on Magnum trick worm, like a 4-pounder, and then I caught the rest of them all on a swim bait, every one of them.
I stayed home. I didn't want to get in that zoo. I went out that afternoon and flipped the live on, and there he was, the infamous Trey Swindle.
That's right.
Wearing a sweatshirt at 9 o'clock. And Luke Duncan took a shot of that and posted it on his Instagram or something. It says, look, the LOB is out here.
Yep.
And my first response to that was, the LOBs get cold real easy? Because that kid's wearing a sweatshirt and it's 90.
I'm telling you, them guys, they can act tough all they want, but it blast off if we run 30
cool
minutes down the lake. It was cool. I'm talking about. And then, like I said, we never even come off plane because we couldn't find nowhere to fish.
It's a good thing you had that toboggan full of hair on.
Yeah, that's why I kept growing it out. And then when we finally found somewhere to fish, we get cut off worse than I've ever been cut off in my life. So then that just pissed me off. So then I started getting hot and started shredding clothes. But
you had somebody that wasn't respectful?
Yeah, I could say that on air. Yeah.
On air, yeah.
I mean, it's like we idled a school and turned around, and they just decided they was just going to come in and just drop the trolling motor and start casting at the dot after we were we had idled them and turned around and was fixing to drop the trolling motor, and they come in off plane and sat down, dropped the trolling motor, and started casting. I'm like, well, so be it. Maybe that means one of my other schools is going to be gobbed up. Sure enough, we did. We left there madder than a hornet, and then that's when I caught that 570 and filled a limit, and we had 17, 18 pounds in the box right after that. So I guess maybe it was a blessing in disguise. I don't know, but
yeah,
you can't let that ruin your day.
You know, I don't know if anybody else listens to Luke's podcast. You know, Luke's always controversial from time to time. He's also kind of crazy.
Yeah,
it's entertaining. And I know y'all are real good friends. I barely know the guy, but he had your uncle on there last week maybe, and your uncle got on a soapbox maybe about respect on the water and the way it used to be and the way it is now.
Yep.
And I think it ought to be required listening before anybody ever goes fishing again, particularly the high school and college kids. The high school kids are kind of ignorant, don't know. The college kids know better and don't care. But I think that 10-minute segment of the Luke Duncan's low-budget live traveling circus, whatever he is there, ought to be required listening and everything, because that was fantastic what he said that day.
It was, and it's like, it's not only that, like, and I'm being real, like, you can ask my partner. We burnt 60% fuel. It was probably 8:30 before we made a cast. But the reason is because we found we had a couple schools that there was just one boat on. All right, well, a normal person that don't care would have pulled up and fished with them. We're not going to do that. I'm not going to fish beside somebody. I had told Daniel that. I'm like, dude, if it's not just us on the school, I'm not playing bumper boats. I'm not cutting anybody off. Even if you go 60 yards above them, and technically it's a 50-yard rule, and throw back it, I'm just not doing it. I'm not doing it. So we burnt that much fuel and wasted that much time to find a place. But it just boils down to, if somebody's sitting on a spot, I'm not coming to join you. Unless it's a long grass line or,
sure,
bar
yeah, you're going different. If it's but a lot of this offshore stuff, you're throwing at something the size of a table.
I mean, when them fish get, gobbed up out deep, it'll be 40, 50, 60 fish, maybe 100 if you find just a megawatt of them. But it's not like they're 200 yards down the river bar. There'll be one little 20-yard circle you got to make the cast. So if one guy's fishing it, that's all you can have. Yeah. I mean, if you have any more than that, you're hurting yourself.
I didn't mean to get on that tangent, but when I listened to Gerald say that on that, I'm like, man, that ought to be required. It ought to be like a prerequisite for every. They'll play it over the loudspeaker before every tournament.
Yeah.
And I don't care if it's summertime or not. That applies for any time.
Everything. Yeah.
But I got a text from our guest a minute ago that said, let me guess, Trey was late, because I think I told him I'd call around 4 or something. Here it is, 4:25. And I said, no, it was me. So anyway, let's see if we can get John on to talk to us a little bit about summer fishing on Guntersville outside of what Trey and I have been talking about doing. So let's see if we can get John. We have got the one and only Captain John Maynor on here with us. John has been a guide for, how many years has John Maynor been a guide? Tell me.
I guess about 8 years now.
8 years? All right. Well, you're only 20, so.
Yeah, I'm a young man.
You're not as young as my co-host Trey over here, but the Guntersville. You used to fish Wheeler a lot, right?
Yeah, I mean Wheeler and Smith kind of my home lakes, and then when I started guiding, I felt like that would kind of be my bread and butter. But Guntersville, I just got stuck over here, so
It's that damn floating grass. He can't get out.
I'm gonna tell you what, Dave. I've never seen nothing like it.
I think we should take all criminals and stick them out on a boat with a jerk bait and make them throw it on Gunnersville. And every time they get a piece of floating grass on there, when they bring it back to the boat, just beat them with a stick. I guarantee you they wouldn't do what they did again.
That makes the trash pickup sound like a gift.
Yeah, I guarantee they love to be picking up trash when they get beat with a piece of bamboo every time they pick
goodness.
a piece of eelgrass.
I got out Saturday afternoon after the ABT guys finished and got up there near Goose Pond, and I don't see how there was any grass left on the bottom.
Oh, it's crazy.
Yeah.
It is bad.
Today, if you wanted to throw a scrounger or a hair jig or swim bait, it wasn't gonna happen.
Well, you just answered my next question, John. You're not throwing a scrounger or a hair jig in the grass, so you're clearly fishing bridges, of course. You know.
Oh, yeah, bridges.
Yeah, bridges in June. Tell us what's going on with the fish. I mean, we've got the ABT report over here, but we want to hear the John Maynard report.
Well, I mean, we're catching a bunch of fish, 50, 60 a day.
Wow.
But they're we're catching some on the deep spots, but most of them are setting up on that hard bottom, just right outside the eelgrass on little points and stuff. They're just grouping up. But like today, I mean, the grass was, I don't know what caused it. I don't know why it's so bad today. It's just, I mean, you couldn't make a cast anywhere hardly. You'd have to get on top of them and fish a worm, or something.
Had the water come up some? I know it was down this weekend.
It's down.
It's still down. Why?
I don't understand. I don't know why.
I had somebody tell me they had called and asked somebody about it at Memorial Day weekend. They had it way low, like way low. And I was told by my friend that called and talked to him that they had let it down where the water patrol boats could get under some of the bridges because they couldn't. Now, I don't know if that's true, but he said he called and talked to him and they told him that. And
I know they've been dropping it, in the wintertime or the colder months. And I think it's because of the eelgrass control, to control that 0 to 3 foot range.
Mm-hmm.
It seems to come up more with the waves and wind and boat traffic. But it's, they fluctuate the water a lot more than they used to. That's a fact.
I agree. I agree. It's way low. I mean, it was probably a foot low Saturday. So,
it's 2 foot low today.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's what
some of the humps in shallow places, you can see the bottom up there.
I know they've been doing their seasonal spraying around boathouses and docks. I was at my little cabin over there in Langston Saturday afternoon, and they had torched it. I had a picture on a camera where they had come by there one day last week, and that eelgrass, that may be the answer to why some of the floating grass is so bad, because whatever they did, a lot of it had just let go and was just laying there. And it'll come back. They don't kill it. It just kind of knocks it down. But there was a lot of it that was just kind of like it just let go of the bottom.
Yeah, a lot of the grass today, had roots and stuff like
yep.
that. Got washed up. I don't know if with the rain and storms, but it's just coming from up the river. But it was really bad. I mean, you couldn't fish. I put it in all reds, and I mean, I tried to fish, from the bridge all the way Browns Creek, all the way back towards the dam. It was just, I mean, you couldn't make a cast.
I was down that way a couple of weeks ago, and I wouldn't even wanted to jump in the water. From Honeycomb to the dam, it was as bad as I've ever seen it.
Well, that's when we fished ABT, one of our best schools I had been saving forever, just staying off of it to keep from being seen on it. But we got on it and we caught 2. And then, I mean, it wasn't 15 minutes we had been there and I caught 2 and 1 4-pounder, and the eelgrass blew in. And it was the same, like you couldn't make a cat. You couldn't even get on top of them and drop something because you had to have a 2-ounce tungsten to get through it. And it just come out of nowhere.
Yeah.
And I'm like, we went back 2 times and it was still the same. It was like it was just balled up right there. You couldn't make a cast anywhere.
What's bad is I may have, 6 or 8 places that I know there's a group. And today, 5 of them were covered up with eelgrass and I couldn't make a cast.
And 3 of them had boats on.
And there was no wind, it was just dead calm, no wind, and it was just bad. It was hard.
It is. It's terrible. John, for everybody listening, what if you were going out tomorrow, which we all know you are because you stay so busy, but if you were going fishing at Guntersville in June, what would be 5 baits that you wouldn't go without for everybody listening?
I'm gonna use soft plastics, probably a worm. Worm seems to work a lot better, this time of year. I like a creature bait, pre-spawn, and then kind of go to the worm stuff after the spawn is over.
Mm-hmm.
There's still a few fish spawning. I mean, I see pre-spawners, that we're catching.
Wow.
In June, there's always just a small percentage that spawn, but I throw a scrounger a lot, hair jig. Don't throw a lot of crankbaits just because my clientele, it's just hard on them.
Mm-hmm.
I deal with a lot of spinning rod situations, so I got to keep it simple.
Right.
That's right. And a lot of times that works out better anyway. You ain't got to worry about getting them off the hook with treble hooks and big old triple grips and all that and losing them.
Popar's really been good. I mean, there's a lot of fish eating fry right now, and they're not the biggest fish, but they're fish nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
And you can still, they're mixing. You make 10 little, 10 to 12 inchers and then catch a 5-pounder.
Mm-hmm.
But I try to look for groups in the grass. If I can get on a deep spot, that I don't feel like somebody's just beat to death.
Does that exist?
And catch them. Last week was probably the best week that I've had in years.
Really?
As far as size and quality, quality fish. There was one day I think we caught 15 over 4 pounds.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier, and we've talked about it the past 2 podcasts. Is people, you know how it is. You see me all the time working up there at Waterfront, just in the tackle store, and so on and so forth. But everybody thinks that Guntersville's just falling off the map. Yeah, I do work, John. Don't say that on there. I do. But
once every 90 days.
Once every 90 days. But everybody, when they get around the tackle shop, everybody just talks about how Guntersville's not what it used to be, and it's not any good anymore. But from like hearing you say that in the past 2 or 3. We had a month there where it was taking 28, 30 pounds to win everything. Like to me, I feel like the lake is more healthy now than it has been since I started fishing it. And I've caught more 3-pounders, which is good for the lake, in the past 2 years than I ever have.
There is a ton of 4-pound, like I had the wildlife women out this weekend, Friday and Saturday, and they were a blast, but we caught, like a lot of 458, 57, 432s, a lot of 4-pound, 4.5 pounders.
Yep.
But it seemed like it's a lot harder this year to catch a 5 and 6 pounder.
Yeah, I will agree on that. I fish a lot. I do. I don't fish as much as you do out here, but I do fish a lot. But it feels like the 5.5 to 6.5 and 7 pounders. Like I had days in the spring where I caught 60 and 80 fish a day, but I wouldn't catch but one over 6 pounds. Like the kind of top number seems like it's not quite there, but what people don't realize is catching a bunch of 3 to 4 pounders, even 2 to 4 pounders, is just good for the lake. Because in 5 or 10 years, they're gonna be just like we want them to be.
Right.
It's pretty healthy considering the pressure that it gets. It's unbelievable how it holds up.
Part of it's because of the floating grass. I think that's there's places like you're talking about you can't fish for 2 or 3 days.
Yep. And the grass that's growing on the bottom, they got so many places to hide. There's been bass that have never seen a bait out here. You know what I mean? Like they got so many places to get away from pressure that I think it does help them. I don't like the floating grass. Nobody does, but at the same time, like it gives them a place to hide. The fry survive, when they spawn.
I agree. Last year I got stuck in Steamboat. I thought I was going to have to call 911. It wrapped it up in there so bad, you think you could just idle through it, but it's so thick that you just lose all steering control. It's bad. But they've done a great job this year as far as this spring, with keeping the water down.
Mm-hmm.
It hasn't been as bad as years in the past.
Yeah.
But today was really bad, and I don't know why.
I don't know if it's because they've been pulling so much current. Now they've kind of stopped and it's all just kind of floating around. I have no idea.
Yeah,
But
I don't know.
it was getting bad out there Saturday too.
I wonder if the spraying may, this. I noticed literally on my dock that the spraying, the grass had been standing in thick, and like he's talking about, there was a lot of it just there with roots.
Yeah,
and I hope it all leaves from right there. But because at the end of my dock's about full pool is 5.5, 6 foot, and of course, Memorial Day weekend, the water was way low, but it was a foot under the surface there then. And it's gone. Like I can't see it as of yesterday, or as of Saturday afternoon. So it'll be back in 3-4 weeks. That stuff's incredible. But
what I've seen when they spray, around the docks and public access areas is it'll kind of brown up. It'll kill the milfoil.
Mm-hmm.
Then the eelgrass just, within a couple of weeks, it's green. Yeah, and this is ready to go.
That's normally what I see. But this was a little more laid back than normal. Now, might have worked on it a little bit, part of it myself before I left the other day.
Yeah. That's one thing I don't like about them spraying it, though, is it seems like it kills everything but the eelgrass. It kills milfoil, hydrilla, coontail, kills everything but the eelgrass.
Well, they're supposedly having some, and I don't know what they ended up doing. They had a meeting earlier this year, TVA, and they're going to be running some test places with some different chemicals to see if they can try to control it, because I mean that stuff grows out way deep, and it's changed things for the positive in a lot of ways. It's just different.
Yep.
John, what do you expect fishing wise for the next 2 or 3 weeks?
2 or 3 weeks. June's my favorite time of year. The fish really group up. It's kind of, you start to get into that feast or famine kind of time. There'll be some schooling. But they just, you can find groups in the grass or out deep. It seems like that deep bite is really good in the afternoons.
Mm-hmm.
But it has a lot to do with the current. But and the fishing is great June, July. I love it. I mean, it's a lot easier on me than March and April for sure.
It's just more stable. They just kind of get where they're going to be. So
stable, and they're just going to stay there. Once they get to where they're going to be, they stay there. They're bite. They're hungry.
Yeah, cold blooded, hot water. Yeah, but so for those listening, we kind of, most people's covered the whole humps, drops, ledges, creek channels, all the obvious deep stuff. But on the grass, you mentioned something that wasn't really public knowledge for a while, but is now. The little hard spots off the edges of the eelgrass. How are you finding those on the river channel? Or are you finding them on off some of the shallow humps? What kind of locations is that stuff?
They're kind of mixed. I mean, it's both really. It's just like right now they just want to be on that clean bottom, and if you can find a point that's got like the patchy eelgrass where it's just clumps, 80% of that 10 and 12, and you got clumps, there'll be fish around it. There'll be some around it somewhere. But they're grouping up pretty good. If you can find them, I see them with that 360, and I know, hey, we got these.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, one of the schools me and Daniel caught them in, it was actually a point of eelgrass, and they were, if you were catching them like throwing a swim bait and a crankbait and stuff, but if you threw too far, you would hit the eelgrass. They were sitting right on the edge of the eelgrass. It was just nothing but shell, like a hard bottom.
12 foot.
And there was 10 or 15 of them just sitting right.
You could see them on the 360. Yeah. That Mega 360, if you had to pick between Live or Mega 360, which one would you pick?
Mega 360 every day.
That's what.
360.
Yeah, on Guntersville 360. If you're fishing deeper or clear lakes like Smith or smallmouth fishing, stuff like that, then I would say Live Scope. But for just a normal, like beating the bank type of lake fishing cover and stuff, I'd go 360 every day.
I've got the original 360 that I've had forever, and then I've got a Live that's the Garmin, and I had debated on getting rid of it just to get the Mega 360. I think I'd rather. And I looked at one when I think I said this a couple of months ago. I was tagging fish one day, at Mud Creek
Mhm.
in February, and the guy pulled up beside me and says, "Hey, I can see them fish you're letting go right there." I hopped in his boat, and there was 4 or 5 of them sitting right under the dock, and I'm sure I just dropped them in the water, and they just kind of sat there for a minute getting their bearings.
Yep.
But I mean, on top of the eelgrass, they were just sitting there,
Yep.
and I'm like, okay, that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, you can see the holes in the grass. I know John does it all the time because he's got one too. But when you go down a grass line, there ain't no more guessing. Used to, when I didn't have that, I had sonar on the front, and I would just zigzag down the grass line.
Oh, I don't want to fish
But-
without 360.
But now, if you have 360, you can see the holes in it where it makes a point. Even if it don't on the graph, you can see it on 360 where it makes. a
but
little
you can
point,
see the fish.
and you can see the fish.
See that I can see the holes in the turns with the regular one, but I can't see the fish with it. It's just because it's
I'll tell you, there's almost every single day that I'm fishing somewhere, and I look on my 360, and it may be out the opposite direction of what we're throwing, and I see a group, and we throw over there and catch 5, 10, 15 maybe.
Yep.
And they're usually good fish. It's made all the difference in the world for me over here.
you got Tim Chandler running one of them.
He is running 360 this year.
Okay, if you can get Tim to use it, then you know how hard he is to change on things.
Yeah, the problem is the water hit me in the face, and I don't like it.
Oh, off the
That's
transducer?
aggravating.
Yeah,
It fills up with water, and your co-angler or your partner just gets pelted in the face with it every time you pick a troll motor up.
I know they don't like it because it hits them in the face all day long.
Yeah, ain't no point in cleaning your glasses because it just gets right back on there every time you move. You just see through dots all day.
Have you seen much hydrilla? I saw some in places up and down the river a little bit, actually growing, not floating, more than I've seen in a while.
There's a lot more hydrilla growing than what it was 2 or 3 years ago.
You think?
I flip a lot in the afternoons. I'll come in with my trip and eat some lunch and go back out and flip. And there's a lot of hydrilla.
Well, that's what I was about to ask. Are we going to have enough to go back to having some flipping?
Yeah. The flipping bite was really good last year.
Really? Okay.
And there's a lot growing in all reds. And then, when you get up river, Goose Pond, all the way up past Rosemary, Bibby Comer, it's all solid hydrilla.
Yeah, I had found some clumps of it, on the edge of the river, on the drops that were clumpy. It was even better. It was clumps on the side. We're sitting in 8 or 10 foot of water off the edge, and I found it at the end of May, and I hadn't been back to it. But yeah, I saw that and thought, man, that's going to be right come about June. So, what are you flipping in the hydrilla this time of year?
Man, my favorite thing is the pit boss.
Pit boss, which is a creature bait. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a creature, and it's my go-to. I'll throw a couple other baits sometimes, but that pit boss to me is probably the best. And I'll usually throw 1.5 ounces.
On braid.
Then a little later, I'll throw 1.75 ounces, but what you want to look for is that, like about right now to into July, the milk or the hydrilla will start to just break the surface. It won't form a mat yet.
Right.
But that eelgrass will float in there and it'll hang up on the stems up on the top. And you look for those eelgrass mats. And so you really get a flipping bite a lot quicker with the eelgrass, because it forms the mat for it.
Makes a canopy over it. Yeah.
Yep. People don't even realize what's under it. They just flip an eelgrass and don't even realize it's hydrilla. I got on a bite just like that last year. One of my best mats was that way. And it was, honest to God, I was guilty of it too. I didn't know what was under it until I caught one and ripped it up. And then I looked through there and it was nothing but hydrilla under it. It was just kind of hung up on top of the mat.
And you've got to have that, because the eelgrass is, I always equate it like hydrilla. I dropped a camera down in it years ago, and to me, like one of those underwater cameras. Mm-hmm. And when you get down to the bottom, it's kind of like if you're flying over some trees in the summer and it's thick on top. Mm-hmm. But if you're walking through the woods, you can navigate around the stumps. That's what it looked like to me, because it's just you get that canopy on the top. But now the eelgrass is like a briar thicket. It's thick from top to the bottom. Yep.
It's thick.
Yeah. You ain't flipping the eelgrass. The little bait can hang around in it, but they're not eating down in there.
They move around that eelgrass so much, it's aggravating. Used to, they would get in that milfoil and they would just homestead. But now with the eelgrass, I mean, they may be there today and gone tomorrow. It's just so situational with the weather. You just have to cover a lot of water and just figure out where they're going to be that day.
You think the bait's moving and they're chasing it, or what do you think the deal is with that?
Well, I mean, the bait's so small right now.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they're just eating fry, you know, and it's all day long. We'll catch a fish, you know, and it'll throw 5 or 6 little fry out, you know, on the deck of the boat.
And at some point, it gets hard to catch them when they start really focusing on that little bitty stuff.
It is hard. It is hard to catch them.
I'm not going to lie to you. They were being kind of funky when I got out there Saturday afternoon and the floating grass was bad, and I pulled out the little centipede.
Caught you some on it?
Man, from 6 inches to about 3 pounds. But it catches them all. Mm-hmm. So a buddy of mine will be mad that I said that. Maybe he won't listen. But the dinkapede. But light line and a lightweight. Throw it in every little crevice of grass you see. They hit it like a train.
You know, it's amazing to me. You know, 5, maybe 6 years ago, if you was to be caught with a spinning rod over here at Gunnersville, they would pull your man card.
And now they're everywhere.
And now, I mean, I throw it. I throw it just about all day long. You know.
Well, is it just because you're using lighter line because of the stuff you're using, or for your clients, or do you think it makes a difference with the lighter line because the water's so much cleaner? What's your opinion?
I think the fishing pressure and everything else. You know, the fish. If you look around, I mean, spinning rods are kind of the staple this time of year.
And I hate them.
I mean, I'm not a huge fan, but I'm all about catching some fish, you know, and I'm in the fish catching business. So,
right.
So we catch them, and you can take a spinning rod, and I mean, you may not have a 30-pound day, but I've had them with it. You know, it's just you got to just settle down and just really take your time, especially on days like today that's real calm and not much movement, nothing going on. You can kind of just settle in and you can get by it. I mean,
what's your setup? You running braid to fluoro?
I usually run a 10 to 12 pound braid and then a fluorocarbon leader.
What pound leader?
Man, I used to run a 12, but I've been running a 15, so I don't have 3 towels.
Hey, if it works, I don't blame you. I run a 12 on mine.
You know, I don't think it matters. I mean, I don't think it matters at all.
Yeah. That's
I get some people, you know, that they really like to set the hook. You know, the old school, you know, that's what we was taught growing up.
Right.
Yeah, straight mono, you had to set the hook hard.
Right. Jerk their eyeballs out.
You got to come out of your shoes, you know, and then I try to explain to them all you really need to do is just pressure.
With that braid and a leader and a sharp little hook on the bait, yeah, you just pull. Yeah.
Just kind of reel into it. But yeah, that 15 works out better because they'll break off a good bit if they're a big setter.
Yeah. That's that. I went on a saltwater trip back in November, an inshore trip, and we were doing something. I don't remember what we were doing, and the fishing was tough. The wind was blowing 20 miles an hour out of the northwest. I'd gone down there to carry my dad out, and I set the hook on one, and the guy turns around, looks at me, and goes, "Now, bass fisherman, that's not the way you're supposed to do that."
Oh, they get mad, don't they?
Yeah. He said,
That's what they tell me. I say, "Hey, I'm paying. You captaining.
That's
Just
right.
let me do me. If I break every one of them off, you're supposed to tie me another hook
I didn't
on."
break it. I just took it away from it. And he just says, "Now, Mr. Bass Fisherman, that's not how you're supposed to do that." So,
There's nothing better than setting the hook as hard as you can, you know.
yeah, I agree.
It's going to always work out the best scenario.
Back in the flipping days, you'd set the hook with that braid till your arm hurt.
You know, the more I fish, the more I realize you don't have to set the hook like that.
No.
It's fun, but to me, I figured out, and you know, I've never been good enough to step foot in the boat with John Maynard. But if I had, he would know that I like to set the hook hard. But I've done the same thing, and I've realized, I mean, especially like flipping, you just lean back. I mean, they hit it so hard they hook themselves. You just lean back, and hold pressure.
You're
to them.
throwing a rope.
Yeah,
but-
and when you jerk them and you jerk a 4-pounder plumb over your head, you lose them every time. You
Yeah.
lose more fish. I mean, it is fun, and I do it. When I'm out there fun fishing, I do. But when money's on the line, I don't. I just lean back.
Yeah. Now, John, Trey says he's never been in a boat with you. And if somebody else wants to get in the boat with you, how do they need to get in touch with you to do that?
Oh, yeah, they can call me.
And what's your number?
It's 256-227-3277.
3277. All right.
So that's the number I got to call to get lucky enough to be in the boat with you for a day.
He said he had an opening next August the 15th.
Don't even start that.
He's going to take you on rainy and 150-degree days.
Yep. I mean, maybe I'll have to call you and ask you to go with me because I just.
They've always got something going on.
Hey, he don't answer text messages. You know, he's got a one-way phone.
Yeah.
Well, I can't afford to pay for the 2-way. I just do the 1-way straight, and I'll catch you when I'm at the gas station. I run into you.
He does return phone calls, but text messages. We were having that conversation earlier. He's gonna work. He's gonna get better though. That's what he said. But
Yes,
I'm steadily getting better, Maynard. I'm steadily getting better. You know, it's a work in progress.
I'm proud of you, young man.
Champions ain't built overnight, okay?
have you seen him lately? He has got some hair, and he said he is not cutting. He's over here rubbing it now.
Yeah.
He said he's not cutting it until he quits catching fish.
ABT 100 and Neely Henry. And I didn't really know who I was talking to.
I done told everybody I'm not cutting it until I prove that it's not my hair that's making me catch fish because I've been on a little roll.
I said, did your barber die? I mean, do you want to look like that? Or, I mean, is that just something that you just can't help, or is that?
I mean, my girlfriend, I don't know if you've seen her, but she's beautiful now, and she says she loves my hair and she likes it long. So as long as my girlfriend says that I'm pretty, I'm gonna keep it like it is.
Well, I'm gonna tell you what. If you found somebody out there that says you're pretty, you better stick with it.
Oh, I'm trying not to scare her off.
The first time I saw a picture of her on, I guess it was Instagram, I looked at him and I said, "Brother, you have 100% outkicked your coverage." And he goes, "I know."
Yeah.
So
I hope she don't listen because if she finds that out, I'm gonna be heartbroken. So nobody tell her that I've outkicked my coverage and she deserves better. Because as of right now, I'm on cloud 9. So y'all just leave me alone.
You've been on a good roll here lately, ain't you?
I have been. Like I said, I don't know if it's my girlfriend or my hair or I don't even know, but something's been going right. For
I'm
me.
pretty sure it's not the hair.
It might be the girlfriend.
It could be.
She did drive all the way up here to watch me weigh in at Gunnersville.
Did she come to the Neely Henry thing? I mean, you
No,
caught.
she was out of town at the Neely one. She was at the beach for a bachelorette trip, so she would have been there if she could. But I did catch him at Neely pretty good too.
Yeah, y'all caught him at Neely.
Yep,
the
It-
mud hole.
the mud hole.
I hate that
It
place.
wasn't pretty. The results made it look good, but it wasn't pretty.
It doesn't have to be pretty, Trey.
It don't have to be pretty. As long as it shows at the end of the day that you had 14 something, that's all that matters.
Yeah. Did you catch a bunch at Neely?
We probably caught all day. We probably caught 15 to 20 fish. Now, a lot of them didn't keep, you know. We probably caught 10 keepers all day.
Yeah.
Caught a couple times, but
Here's what I want to know. I saw a video of you stuck. This was before the tournament. Stuck.
Yep.
Like stuck.
Oh, yeah.
How'd you do that?
Well, so Luke told me that about 97 years ago, he fished a BFL over there, and he got up in this creek, and he caught the crap out of them. He said, "Now, I'm telling you, they were there." He said, "I ain't telling you we're going to catch them, but we going to catch them." So I said, "You ain't got to tell me twice." So here we go. He said, we just weaving through the forest, and he said, "Take
Idling.
a left, take a right." I'm like, "I'm not trolling. We're going to send it." So we get back here, and I can see the creek. He's like, "There it is." And there's like one high spot between it. And we're idling, and it starts just the motor starts bogging down. And I'm like, uh-oh. I done made it way too far to back out now. We got in there. We were stuck for a little bit. And he decided to film on his phone instead of try to help me get unstuck. But hey.
Yeah, there was a video with Luke just shaking his head and water flying.
And I got out, and I said, "Are you proud of me?" And he said, "No." I'm like, "Well, I mean, hey, okay."
Did you catch him in there?
No, not in the tournament.
No.
We did catch some in
Did
there,
you
but-
try that again during the tournament?
We never went back.
Okay.
So we wasted a whole entire day of practice off of Luke's hole from 97 years ago that we got stuck in trying to get into. But hey, it was worth it.
Yeah, it made for another story.
It did. It did.
Well, you have been on a bit of a roll. I'm kind of proud of you. You know, you had Wheeler kind of kicked you a little, didn't
Yeah,
it?
Wheeler was the day I turned it around. I think I after that I started getting my revenge on these little evening tournaments up here, and then we went to Neely, and me and Luke did good, and then I won another evening tournament or two, and then we come to Guntersville, and I mean we didn't win, we come in 19th, but we had 20 pounds, so hey,
Yeah, I mean you can't complain
no,
on a Saturday.
not at all for all that pressure and.
You weren't on here earlier, John. But he said that they burned 60% of their gas on Saturday before they found somewhere to sit down.
Yeah,
I don't because I was out there Saturday.
Yeah, we blasted off at Goose Pond, and we literally left Goose Pond at like 5:10. Like they were letting us go. Kay was calling out boat numbers like it was sun wasn't even above the trees. We were down in Browns Creek at 5:30, and I'm telling you, it was 8:30 before we ever found a place to drop the trolling motor. Because I mean, I'm kind of old school, I guess is what you'd say. I don't know, but I'm not going to pull up and fish a school with somebody else. I'm just not going to do it. So until we found a place by ourselves, we wasn't going to stop, and we spent like probably $200 worth.
Did you lock through?
Well, I told him, I said, should we call Kay and see if we can lock down the Wheeler? Because I mean, we've already made it this far, and we ain't found nowhere to stop. So
It was, there wasn't as many boats come down to the lower end as what I thought there would be.
yeah, there was that's what I told Daniel. There wasn't a lot just running around down there, but the ones that were down there were on everything.
Well, now the honeycomb people blast off about 20, 30 minutes before safe light. They're going to make sure they get their spot.
Yeah.
We left the dock at Browns Creek at 5 o'clock Saturday, and I couldn't get on my first two spots.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So, I mean, those honeycomb guys, they don't fool around now. I mean, if you're not,
They don't.
If-
I think they kick about 4:30.
yeah, I mean, you got to be there to sign up before I normally even roll up in the parking lot. And I mean, I like to show up, dump my boat in, and go when they call your number.
That's how I am. That's why trade fishing them little ones out of Browns, because that's the kind of guys I roll with. Just roll up about 2 minutes before blast off and drop.
Here's
in
your money.
go.
Let's go.
Yep. And then you forget everything you got in the truck because you showed up last minute. That's me.
No, that's right. Now, I do believe that. Speaking of which, is your boat broke?
It's not broke. It's I had it throwing a code, but I figured out it was just low on oil, so using a little bit of oil.
It's a 4-stroke, right?
Yep.
How'd that? That's not good.
No.
Is it under warranty?
It's not.
No, it's not.
No.
You need to win something with another zero on it, brother.
I need to win a couple zeros. Is what I need. So, Maynard, if you ever want to be my partner and actually go fishing with me, I could use a partner that's going to help me win like multiple zeros, not like 100, but like 10, 100,000, something like that.
Yeah. Well, all you gotta do is ask me, bud.
Well, they better watch out because I'm gonna call you.
It's on the call, John. I can't thank you enough. It's been entertaining. I think we could probably sit here and bring up stuff that doesn't need to be on the radio or whatever we call this podcast. We could probably bring up some stuff we don't need to talk about, but we probably ought to start wrapping it up. And I had talked to you 2 or 3 months ago about coming on and chatting with us. I had no idea it was going to be this fun, or I would have done it once or twice already. So, but I'm looking forward to it. We'll try to do it again, and I really appreciate you coming on and enjoy the floating grass.
Yeah, I love that floating grass. Maybe catch another tag bass for July 4th.
Is it 1 or 2 this year?
Just one.
Just 1 this year.
Yep.
I thought I was going to have to put him on the payroll. I mean, he caught so many last year, and he pretty much owns Tim Chandler now. That's what he said. He said Tim's lucky to catch one every 3 or 4 years. So,
I mean, you just gotta run through the numbers, and then all of a sudden there's a tag on one of them.
yeah, I had one caught Saturday that I let go at Mud Creek. That was caught. There's an island in the river somewhere out near the mouth of Crow Creek on up.
Mm-hmm.
And dude caught it there.
Really?
Yep, sure did. He told me that today. I talked to him today.
Do they kind of stay, or do they go back where they're coming?
Man, there's been a bunch of them go way back this year. I've had 2 caught. I tagged at a little club tournament at Browns Creek the day before the Rattle Trap tournament, and I've had 4 or 5 of those caught. and two of them were caught up above waterfront.
Really?
The one I caught 2 years ago was let go at Goose Pond, and I caught it in Browns Creek.
Mm-hmm. I had that guy yesterday that was on Buck Island, somewhere on Buck Island.
Mm-hmm.
That was a Browns Creek fish. They've moved a lot more. The floods weren't as bad this year as they have been the last couple of years, and I think a lot more of them went home.
What percentage of the 200 get caught every year?
Caught probably 50%.
50?
Mm-hmm. I've had a bunch of prior years tags caught. I've had 3 in the last 2 or 3 weeks.
Do you think that Whaler got better because a lot of these fish went over the dam?
You brought that up to me when we were sitting in Waterfront one day, and I thought, well, I never have thought of that. But we did have record flooding there for a couple of years, and
yeah, I mean, for a few years, a lot of floods, and they were caught 2 or 3 down there around Ditto.
I had 2 caught below the dam that I know of, yeah, or a little further.
Yeah,
Wheeler can't just get better overnight.
You think Gunners will flush the toilet and send a few down there?
Well, I think so, but because last year, I mean, in November, I had 5 trips down there that we caught over 100.
And where'd they come from? Yeah,
I don't know.
yeah.
I mean, what thought?
Have you been to Wheeler this year? Somebody said the grass wasn't as thick over there this time.
The grass is not as thick, but the fish are still back.
Yeah, right. They didn't wash on to Wilson, so
No.
I don't know. That would be our next episode here in a couple of weeks. We're going to have the district fishing supervisor biologist for the Department of Conservation is going to come on. The guy's office over in Tanner, but he's the one that, he knows about the fish shocking and all kinds of things. I'm going to ask him that question.
That'd be good.
We'll have him on here in a couple of weeks. Had to go through some hoops with the state to get him lined up to come on. But John, I can't thank you enough. I have enjoyed it immensely. Poking fun at Trey is he's still blushing over here. He's got that little red tint about him. Even his hair's flaring out a little bit. So I appreciate it, and we'll see you soon.
All right, buddy. I'm glad y'all had me on here.
And I really appreciate it, man. Have a good day.
Y'all too.
Bye. A big thanks to John for coming on and talking with us. If you want to take a trip with John, he left his number a little earlier. You can Google him up. I believe it's John Maynard Fishing's his website. I can't remember, but he doesn't have to advertise a whole lot, but he stays real busy. That tells you what you need to know. So super nice guy. I enjoy talking to him, and I really enjoy watching him pick on Trey.
Yeah, he likes to do that now.
Well, you just got a knack for that, Trey.
That's right.
I mean,
I guess I asked for it. My hair's long. I got a pretty girlfriend. Everybody's jealous.
Yeah, right. You got 2 out of 3 right there anyway.
Right.
Your hair's long and you got a pretty girlfriend.
That's
so
right.
I don't know about the jealous part.
Hate the player, not the game.
That's right. That's right. Fishing wise, it's summer. You've got your every day of the week, pick your poison wildcats. The guy that was running the Wednesday nighter out of All Reds messaged me a couple of days ago, has changed it to Tuesdays. He said Wednesdays weren't working the way he wanted. I think it's 4:30 to 8. I do have it on the Bass and Big G website. Guy named Jacob Bice is the one running them, and unless he's got somebody sitting in for him. I also had a guy message me last night. They're having a night tournament this Friday, the 17th, I believe is the date, out of All Reds. It's going to run way long for me. I turn into a pumpkin about 10 o'clock, but it starts at 7 or 8 at night and runs till 2 in the morning. Right there, I'll tell you what, right there near the new City Harbor stuff on a weekend, you better be careful. They don't tell them what's going to be running around in boats out there at night. Had a little bit of a technical difficulty. Lost a couple of minutes there. Me and Trey babbling. Not sure where they went or why it deleted them, but they're gone. We were talking about the City Harbor and the night tournament going out of All Reds this coming Friday night. Goes till 2 a.m. Everybody, please be careful. Watch out for whoever's having a good time over there. That's pretty much a wrap for the week. We'll be back in a couple of weeks. Trey may be traveling. We're going to have to figure that schedule part out. We will have the district biologist for the Tennessee River on to talk to us. So if you enjoyed this episode, give us a like, give us a share, give us a review. All that stuff helps. And enjoy the floating grass.